Welcome to the Liberty League Rowing Championship here, hosted by Skidmore. We are at the Saratoga Rowing Association in Saratoga Springs, New York. I'm Ryan Harmon here with Kristen Carnahan. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Great. We are very excited here. Atmosphere and the energy is very high, getting excited for this rowing championship here in Saratoga Springs. Here we have a great shot of our racetrack for the day here in the water here at Saratoga Springs. Again, very excited. So, Kristen, you're joining me today. Let's talk a little bit about some of these races coming up that we have. The first race that'll be on the docket is set to start at 9 a.m., so in just a few minutes we're going to get started there. That race we will see, it'll be the women's varsity 8. That'll be the first V1 boat. Will be exciting. We'll have Union, University of Rochester, Skidmore, Ithaca, William Smith, RIT, and St. Lawrence all facing off. So going into it, what are you watching in this race?
Yeah, so it's very exciting. You've got all lanes. It's a full race, and I think the first off is going to be just the start. The start's really exciting right now. You can see they're getting into the stake boats. They're focusing in. They're going over their race plan in their head, listening to the coxswain, and then that first 250 is going to get really exciting, and we'll see where folks are in the first 500.
Absolutely. We're going to be following all the races, covering it all today, happening here, as I said, in Saratoga Springs, New York. But, Kristen, before we get started here, let's talk a little bit about your background in rowing. So I know you told me you are a former rower and also a former rowing coach. Talk to me a little bit about that experience.
Certainly. So I had the good fortune to get connected with rowing when I was really young. Through a community program near where I grew up, went on to row in high school and then in college and then a little bit after college. And that was fantastic. Had a real love of rowing, which it's an addictive sport. And that spirit, is very much part of all the rowers probably here today. And then when I finished school and kind of started off in my career, I had an opportunity to coach for UMass Lowell. I did that for about 5 years. I coached the women's program there, which was fantastic. And I also got to work in their community summer program, which was really exciting because that was both young students looking to get exposed to the sport as well as folks at any stage of their life who had said, I always want to sit in a boat.
That's awesome to hear. And, as we're getting started here today, boats are getting lined up here for this first race. But just talk to me a little bit about, as a rowing coach, former rowing coach, the championship pressure that, these rowers are under right now. In your experience, what does that impact? What does that look like?
Yeah, so race day is a really exciting day. They've been working super hard all season. This is a big race. It's sort of a ticket to the next event for many of them, and so they're just looking to have a great row, to do their personal best, work collectively as a team. And right now they're just kind of mentally centering and going through all the things that they've been working on during practice, the messages from the coxswain, from the coach, and definitely ready to, execute their race plan.
Absolutely. And now, looking at, the women's, varsity 8 here, looking back to last year's Liberty Leagues, that was a little bit different. There was 2 separate heats for that. But overall, we had Ithaca coming in with the fastest time, sitting at 7 minutes and 8 seconds, followed by, I believe, the next closest time behind that would have been William Smith College. So I think I'm curious to see how this is all going to play out today. We'll have all the different lanes here that the teams are in. You'll be able to see on your screen here on just the bottom as we're getting started. But comparing to last year, what is kind of the outlook going into this race?
Well, my understanding is that it has been, kind of good competition across the board each of the weekends since the spring season started. So I think there's going to be nice competition for, last year's team as well as some of the potential contenders. So this is going to be an exciting race. There
you go. It's going to be an exciting day, of course. I'm ready. One thing I will say, too, is I mentioned the atmosphere, but the energy here was just so high when we were getting our setup here ready. The teams were coming. They were bringing the boats out. It was just everyone was so excited, so thrilled to be here. And just, like I said, the energy, it was unmatched.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy right there at the starting line, too. 8s are exciting races. Boats move fast. And so I think they're pumped and ready to go.
Absolutely. One of the top races to watch for the day here. Should be very exciting. As we mentioned, the women's varsity 8 here. Just getting lined up, about to start just about any minute now, as we are 2 minutes away from the official start time that has been set for 9 o'clock. So, Kristen, let's continue to talk a little bit more about you know, everything going on today. And I think the best way to do that is we do have our Shoreline reporter, Carly Kurger, who I'm going to throw it to Carly right now. Carly, what do you got for us?
I'm ready, Catherine.
Oh, and I'm seeing the race is off right here. The race has just begun. So
Go.
before we jump into that, the women's varsity 8 is off as we're going. You can see those boats all moving. Trying to watch, see who we have in the lead here going through the lanes.
Yeah, so we have, it's close. We've got the center lanes, lane 3, 4, and 2, kind of pulling out in front.
I'm watching it there. Watching those the panels there too, you can see, of course, you know, the icons on there trying to make out those teams.
Yeah, it looks like Ithaca is in the lead after their start. Really great starts, clean starts by everybody. Coxswains are doing a great job keeping a straight course. So we have, looks like Ithaca, Skidmore, and University of Rochester in the top 3 positions, but very, very close. You know, contact definitely in that next tier.
100%. And that's one thing, you know, watching races, you know, we've covered the races that were held at the Cayuga Inlet back in Ithaca. That had a little bit of a curve to the course. Here it's a much more, you know, straight on kind of approach here. So watching there, it does look like Ithaca performing strong so far, following along here.
Sure, with Skidmore and University of Rochester right next to them in second and third respectively.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very close race by the looks of it here. No one will be running away with it as it's going along here. As we said, the women's varsity 8 continuing along. Ithaca College sitting in lane 3. As we continue on here, like we said, we were just talking again about the atmosphere, but you know, I can't imagine the atmosphere out on the water there. You know, as a coach, what is your advice that you're giving to these? We got to watch some ducks out there in the water. It looks like.
Yeah, they're moving fast out of the way.
But what is your advice kind of going into, you know, this race here? Great shot here from our drones that we have. But going into this race.
So right now, you know, they're approaching. Looks like maybe the halfway mark. Trying to stay long and strong, in rhythm. You know, they're putting everything into this. They're going to head into that. You know, after the halfway mark, that's probably the toughest. That last 750 part of the race, and then making sure you get a really good clean push to the finish. So again here, actually a correction, I think we have William Smith, Ithaca, and Skidmore in the leads. I apologize, I kind of shifted my eyes here in terms of the lanes. And then we have, I would say, here we go.
There we
Ithaca
go. Great
College.
shot of the Ithaca team here. Rowing right along. Of course, those iconic yellow hats for the Bombers.
Right. So it looks like we have, I think,
this side shot there looks like Ithaca. It's going to be a very close race by the looks of it here.
Yeah, really close race here for first and second, and then just a little bit of open water between second and third. And then we've got a fight here, I would say even between for fourth place.
Absolutely.
But really all the crews are in really close at this point in the race.
Absolutely.
Rowing strong.
One thing that we're watching is also, you know, watching when I would, you know, work on working with Dan Robinson, the former Ithaca coach. One thing I'd always watch him is watching for those catches as, you know, the teams are going and kind of making sure you're jumping those puddles there. So we see, by the looks of it, everyone doing a good job at that. Of course, this is, you know, those top varsity boats. But again, this lead starting to grow a little bit from the rest of these boats that we have out here. Ithaca's still performing strong, looking at those two middle lanes there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of open water that's formed between the first two boats and the third boat, but definitely our third boat here is keeping a strong cadence and making sure that they can, you know, make their moves. But definitely first and second place, they are strong, the quick catches.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just watching along right now as this race continues to go on. There's a great shot there you can see. Looks like
you can see they are really fighting it out side by side here.
Looks like William Smith there right? With
Actually,
Skidmore.
Skidmore in the
Skidmore.
green. Yep,
Skidmore in the
Skidmore in the green, and Ithaca in the blue and yellow.
Yes. There you go. Ithaca, from this shot, looks like they're ahead, but when we saw that side angle, it was a little tough to call, but it looks like Ithaca does have that lead currently as we're heading closer to the end of this first race here, here in Saratoga Springs. Overall, though, yeah, there you can see great shot from our drone here. It's a very close lead, though. It's nothing that's going to be blowing anything out of the water.
Absolutely, possibly one seat right now, seat and a half. But they are focused. They are listening to their coxswains, and we are getting close. You can hear some excitement outside of the boathouse. So
yeah, we have some people yelling. You know, we're right along. We're actually be able to see here soon approaching the finish line. You know, as all the boats are starting to roll in. But yeah, we can hear the yelling outside. People are obviously getting excited about this race, reaching that finish point here.
We get a nice shot here of Rochester Institute. They're making a big move.
Yeah, I'm watching that top boat. It's looking like Ithaca is they're obviously in the lead here. They have a decent amount of momentum here that I think they're going to be able to use that and maintain that first place. But I'm not going to rule out Skidmore just yet. Hear the cheers ramping up as they're getting closer and closer to this finish line. It's an exciting day here.
It is exciting. First race, a lot of energy out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. As they're coming in here. You know, we were able to talk to some of the coaches as well ahead of time to talk to them. And, you know, the women's coach for Ithaca, who's now, you know, Ithaca Boat is ahead, asked about, you know, if the team was prepared for Liberty Leagues. The quote we have is, you know, preparation rowing is an all-year enterprise, which I think is a really powerful thing here.
Here you go. Yeah, nice drone shot here. We're seeing Ithaca looks like it's really maybe got two or three seats out. That's still a strong fight, catch for catch here.
Absolutely.
Skidmore looking to make.
And here we have our finish line shot here as we're coming in to the end of this race here. Ithaca moving well with a nice lead over Skidmore.
Great swing. Really pulling strong, pulling away here as we close the finish line.
Looks like we will have a victory for the Ithaca Bombers women's rowing team here as this first race comes to an end.
There we go. Ithaca.
Skidmore. Not far behind
Not at all. No, just bow to stern.
A hard-fought race. That's the kind of race that we like to see, of course, especially here at, at the Liberty League Championship. That's what, we're expecting, these super tight, close races throughout. Coming in next here, we have...
And we've got Skidmore. Oh.
As all the rest of the boats now filling in here.
Really close here for fourth, and I think that went to Rochester.
Looks like it. As all these boats come in, of course, we will be having all the times and the results up for you, the viewers, so you'll be able to see everything that happened in this race, the final times for all of that, as the final boats are now making their approach and crossing the finish line. Looking ahead, though, the next races that we have on the docket, as this one comes to a close. The next will be in just a few moments. We have the women's 2v8, and there we will see, again, St. Lawrence, William Smith, Skidmore, William Smith, both A and B boat, Ithaca RIT, and University of Rochester. So those final boats are coming in there, concluding that first women's varsity 8 with the 1v. Great way to start the day.
Yeah, great way to start the day.
So as we come, it's a little overcast here today, a little bit concerned. I remember when, covering races previously at different regattas, one thing talking to Dan about was weather conditions and the fact that, we're watching times, of course, as well, but times can shift depending on, the wind and how strong that is. So it's a way to watch it, but, not ultimately the best. But we also talked about, the impact of rain and stuff. We were a little worried about that. But it looks like the rain is holding off for now, which is nice.
Yeah, great.
We're going to throw it down to Carly now, our shoreline reporter. Carly, what do you got for us?
Everyone, my name is Carly Kerber, and I'm going to be your shoreline reporter here today for the 2025 Rowing Liberty Leagues. Currently here at Fish Creek, the weather is great and the water is looking calm, so it's a great day for some races on the water. For about the next hour and a half, we will be providing coverage
What?
of all the races, and I'll be talking to some of the athletes here out on the water today. Back to you guys.
Throwback.
And we're back now. Thank you, Carly, so much for that report. I will say we had a little bit of confusion there at first for the final votes there. We're going to make sure we can get that all sorted out for you in just a moment when we get our final results in with our times as well. But we are going to be getting ready for the next race to kick off. And it looks like it just might have right here as we are going on with continued coverage here of the Liberty League Championship. We have what looks like here the women's 2V on the way. Right now, I'm trying to see who's in the lead. It's very tight there, as you can see. Ithaca in lane 4, I believe.
Yeah,
No.
so we have St. Lawrence in lane 0, William Smith in lane 1, Skidmore lane 2, William Smith lane 3, Ithaca 4, Rochester Institute 5, and University of Rochester 6.
There you go. Here it looks like a race between William Smith's A-team and Ithaca at the front there.
Yeah, and they are neck and neck, possibly a seat.
Yeah, a lot of close races we're going to see for, especially when it comes down to, these first couple places. I'm also noticing there too, that the 1 and the 2 position, you got, William Smith's B-boat and Skidmore there. Also in a tight race, pulling up to that, fight for right now what looks like third, but again, not out of the race yet. There's still a lot of opportunity for those boats to get ahead and kind of stay in this race, of course. A lot of time, a lot of race left ahead in this regatta.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and second are neck and neck, and then we have third and fourth are really close. They are catch for catch, I think, bow balls even, and then we have a small break for fifth.
There you go. So, Kristen, let me ask you really quick, talking about your experience as a rower versus as a coach. So for an event like this, you kind of get two different eyes, right? You can see it from the rower perspective, but also from that coach's perspective. So as a rower, what in a situation like this, what's kind of going through your mind as you're rowing? You're listening to the coxswain,
Yeah, your eyes are focused on that rower in front of you. You're listening to the coxswain. You're running through the race plan. But, especially when you're side by side with a boat, that's a lot of excitement. You're not getting distracted, but you're getting energized.
Right. And then from the coach's perspective, what's the advice that you give to these, to your rowers going into a championship like this?
Yeah, give them the confidence. They've been doing the hard work. They're ready. They're prepared. They've got a solid race plan. They know what to do. And in a sport like rowing, everybody has to do the plan together. There can't be one, star athlete, one super person making all the shots. This is a team exercise. So here we have a great shot with, it looks like Ithaca in the blue with the yellow hats, and I believe that was Skidmore next to them. Just really power stroke after power stroke, trying to take the lead on one another.
Absolutely. Here again, tight race up top there. It looks like right now I'm watching these boats here, checking our lanes to make sure. Again, we have different drone shots, different angles today, making sure we're trying to keep track of everything. There's a lot of different boats, different teams that we're trying to maintain everything for. Just as a reminder, sitting in lane 0, we have St. Lawrence, lane 1, William Smith's B, lane 2, Skidmore, lane 3, William Smith's A, lane 4, Ithaca, you can see right there, lane 5, RIT, lane 6, University of Rochester. So as I'm looking up ahead there at Ithaca, sitting in lane 4, I believe that is William Smith's A boat right next to them in lane 3, by the looks of it, who seems to have a little bit of a lead over Ithaca at this point.
Yeah, there seems to be maybe two seats right now from this drone shot.
Yeah, it's definitely a close race as we're kind of watching all of this play out. It's going to be a lot of close races, I think, today, for that top first place spot. Again, what I'm watching also is what's going on in, lane 1 and lane 2. Very tight there between William Smith's B and Skidmore as well. So, again, a lot of competition out there on the water, a lot of energy, as we said, a lot of excitement, a lot of pressure as well, though. Here, we'll get this shot with just what we see looking like William Smith pulling a little bit ahead here of Ithaca. Again, not over yet. There's still a lot of race to go. Remains close as things are continuing on here.
Yes, exactly. And then we've got a we got a bit of a gap, and then we've got third and fourth place really, again, neck and neck.
Yeah, it's tough to call who is in that, the race for third there, who is pulling ahead there. From this angle, it looks like that could be Skidmore, but I'm not 100% sure there. It's kind of tough to see based on this angle. There you go, another shot of the side of the rowers there. We have a camera out on the boat today, which is fantastic, so we're able to get those angles, which is great. But as the race is continuing, again, we're going to be covering all this. Kristen, talk to me a little bit about, some of the moments that are standing out for you as you're watching this, maybe, reminiscing a little bit about your rowing career. What are some of those points that stood out to you?
Oh, sure. I mean, sprints are really exciting. I always equate it to sort of like cross country versus, spring track. And so, spring races are really exciting. I would say I went to school down in the Philadelphia area, and so rowing on the Schuylkill every weekend was really exciting. Dadville was certainly a favorite. A lot of huge competition and a lot of racing over a couple of days. Right.
And now I'm hearing more cheering outside once again, which means we are approaching the finish line for the end of this women's 2v8 here, with Ithaca falling a little bit further behind here into second place, as William Smith taking what seems to be a very strong lead here, maintaining, those catches there. So I'm just kind of watching the boats come in. We'll be able to see them here cross the finish line momentarily. Also looking back for that race for third that we're seeing between William Smith and Skidmore. Looks like Skidmore seems to have the upper hand at the moment for third. Looking like we could see William Smith in first, Ithaca second, and Skidmore third. But again, still a little bit of race to go here as our drone's turning around to take a look. We'll now see our finish line here. The boats will be approaching just any moment now, as you see. Wide range here of all the boats that we have. You have University of Rochester down at the bottom right of your screen. And yeah, again, cheers are picking up outside, Kristen. We can hear it all. We're going to see.
Yeah.
We can see here from our position. Now you can see it too on your screen. Final stretch here, coming into the finish line to mark off a win as cheers are picking up. It looks like William Smith will have this race for the win. Yeah. Ithaca not far behind at all. They're coming in. There's that finish mark.
Yeah, bow to stern there, and then there's a real race here for third place.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing to watch as this race starts to come to an end here. Good performance by all the teams, of course. Now pivoting to look to see who will come in third, as we have other boats. There's Ithaca and William Smith finished up their portion. Now it looks like Skidmore coming in to take third, and William Smith just behind them. A little bit of distance. That'll leave just three other boats here, St. Lawrence, RIT, University of Rochester, to come in and round out this race. Looking ahead, though, the next race on the docket will be the men's varsity 8, which will start shortly. We'll see St. Lawrence, RIT, Ithaca, Skidmore, and Union all facing off in that men's varsity 8 as this race is coming to an end.
Yeah, Rochester.
There's St. Lawrence coming in. One more team to go. That'll round out here our women's 2v8. What I want to do now is take a look at our results from that last race, the women's varsity 8 that we just watched. Ithaca coming in first, William and Smith in second. Apologies there with our different angles. We get a little mixed up there, but here's our final time. So we have Ithaca coming in first at 7:28 with that time, followed by William Smith just a few seconds behind at 7:32. Third, you had Skidmore at 7:47, Rochester at 8:02. RIT, that near photo finish for fourth and fifth place right there. Just a very close finish there. Sixth, St. Lawrence, 8:17. Union, 10 seconds behind them at 8:27. So what is this performance? So you're looking at times. Again, I know we mentioned, time, it's not everything because you have a lot of factors like wind and stuff like that. But looking at how Ithaca did here, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, these are definitely strong times, strong races, strong finishes. And, to your point, it's hard to tell. We're in this enclosed space, but the water doesn't look, it looks pretty good. I don't know that there's a wind out there. We can check on that. Those all become factors.
Absolutely here. And it looks like as I'm looking outside, the sun is starting to come out here. But now it looks like we are starting off our next race here, which is the men's varsity 8. As we mentioned, St. Lawrence, RIT, Ithaca, Skidmore, and Union all facing off here as they're moving down the water.
Yeah, they have finished their start, and they are lengthening out, really getting into a rhythm. Nice, strong, solid rowing.
Absolutely. We had a leader here right off the bat as well. It looks like Ithaca right in the middle there, sitting in lane 3 with a strong performance at this point.
Looks like they've got good open water, but then I would say it's anybody's game after that.
Absolutely. Again, not that the race is over. There's still plenty of time for things to change, but as of right now, very strong performance for Ithaca's men's team starting here. Good on the catch, watching as they're moving right along.
Nice catches. They're really pushing that boat.
And as I mentioned,
sending it with each stroke.
Exactly. You can see the rest of the track that is up ahead for these boats. Angle there's the Ithaca team. And here is all the others now fighting to try and catch up to that strong Ithaca start.
Sure, so we've got, looks like Skidmore.
Union right here next to Skidmore. This is lane 5 we're looking at right now. You can see on those paddles there the U for Union. Skidmore next to them. On the other side, you got RIT, St. Lawrence, Ithaca there with a strong lead. As the races continue, energy remains high here. So, Kristen, talk to me a little bit more, too, about one thing that you said is, you got into rowing, through a community program. What was kind of that like, and how did that lead you down to this, collegiate path that you were on?
Yeah, it was real serendipity. I was in middle school, heading off to high school, and they came and did a program at my middle school. So I took advantage of it, and while it was really focused on a sailing program, which is what brought me down there, there was a gentleman who was a coach who had rowed in college, and he had a old Alden shell kind of kicking around in the sailing house, and I asked about it, and he said, "Sure, let me show you what to do." And that was sort of my appetizer for rowing. This is a great shot here, the Ithaca 8, really swinging nicely together, catching long and strong.
Absolutely. And one thing I'm thinking of, again, like I said, we do have a couple of those coaches that we were able to speak to before our broadcast today, Coach Stengel for the men's Ithaca team. One thing he said that he was looking forward to today was, and I quote, seeing the team compete at a high level and enjoying the day making boats go fast. And I think that's what we're seeing right here from this Ithaca team with a very strong lead. There's a lot of open water here between them and in second place. Little tough to tell right now, but based on what we're seeing, it's looking like Skidmore, I believe, is in second. But I'm watching St. Lawrence there. They're a strong performance from them as well as that boat is continuing on forward, fighting for that second place here. So, Chris, if you're in this position here, you have this, wide lead. What's kind of the advice to the boats fighting back there, behind Ithaca?
Yeah, so Ithaca's, stay strong, finish this race. Every race matters. Every chance to row together matters. And then for the other teams, it's really focusing in. You've got second and third place up for grabs here, and so dig in. This is a championship race. They've been working hard, and so none of those rowers are giving up. They are just catch, and then drive.
Absolutely, there you go. And again, as we're watching this, we will be getting the results for that women's 2V shortly, so we'll be able to keep you updated with that, and then continue on following this race. We'll have the men's 2V will be the next on the docket here as we continue to watch Ithaca moving right along here in this race with a strong performance in first place.
Sure, and you can see, I believe it's Skidmore that is
in second there. Yeah, not by a lot though. It's gonna be it's gonna be a close fight for second place by the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and third for sure. The three remaining boats are even. A little course correction right there by Skidmore might cost him a second, but they're making it up right now.
I'm keeping my eye on RIT here as well. You know, it looked like St. Lawrence was kind of that, maybe third position, but RIT putting in a strong performance now. It's really neck and neck between RIT and St. Lawrence as I'm watching them on the right side of your screen right now, as Skidmore is continuing fighting for that, maintain a little bit of that lead over them to try and complete that second place finish. That'll be right behind Ithaca. But again, strong performances here from the Ithaca Bombers so far today.
Here they are coming up to the finish.
Yep, we can see right there. Excitement I can hear outside. Talking about the men's varsity 8, looking back to last year, Ithaca College came in first place as well, sitting with a time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds. So we'll be curious to see what this final time looks like compared to last year's performance as well. But here we have them just coming across the finish line. Ithaca will take the win here for the men's 1v8. Now on to second here. Skidmore still rowing strong, continuing that momentum that we've seen.
Yeah, this is really going to be a strong fight for third.
Yeah, I keep watching RIT St. Lawrence, RIT and St. Lawrence, excuse me. And that's close, but it looks like RIT does have that lead over St. Lawrence there, followed by Union. Rounding out here, the men's varsity 8 race. A lot of open water we saw there. What is so Kristen, talk to me a little bit, what does that mean here, seeing, a team like Ithaca moving so far ahead of, those other boats on the water?
Well, that's a wonderful accomplishment. I mean, really, they've been clearly a strong boat, focused athletes, working really well together, putting in the time, and it's just all coming together. And there's, really smooth rowing on the water. There's no drag. They're just really efficient, and you could see that with their performance.
Absolutely. Next race that we'll have on the docket will be that men's 2v8, where we'll see, once again, St. Lawrence, RIT, Skidmore, Ithaca, Union, and then Ithaca will have a second, so they will have an A and a B team as well. So, exciting day here. Again, like I mentioned, the sun's starting to poke out. It's getting a little bit brighter outside, which is always great to see. Maybe bring up that temperature a little bit. It was a little chilly this morning, I'll be honest. I was wishing that maybe I put on a sweatshirt or a sweater or something like that, but that's all right. We're gonna roll with it here from the boathouse.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm sure the athletes are happy for a little bit of overcast.
Absolutely.
Though many of them seem to have been rowing in sleet and snow and cold, harsh rain for much of this spring. If they can get a nice precipitation-free day, I think they'll appreciate it.
Absolutely. I can hear some more cheering there. We got some boats coming off the water from those previous races that we saw earlier. Results coming in now for the women's 2V with William Smith coming in first, 7:53, just 4 seconds behind. In second place, we have Ithaca. Then in third, Skidmore, 8:17. Fourth, William Smith. Fifth, RIT. Sixth, St. Lawrence. And seventh, St. Lawrence's second boat that they had in that race there. Overall, very strong performance here that we're seeing from these teams. Looking at that, this was a very close kind of finish. We saw that 4-second difference between William Smith and Ithaca College, which is definitely a notable close, definitely a competitive race that we were watching earlier. So now we have those final times in. Again, we'll have the times for the men's varsity 8 that we just saw momentarily. Here we're watching a Union boat head out right now on this shot here as we're watching the finish line here. It's a nice day. It's an exciting day in Saratoga Springs. Kristen, you've been to a lot of different races before. Talk to me a little bit about, the Liberty Leagues. I know, when you coached, you weren't coaching, for a team in the Liberty Leagues. Mm-hmm. But talk a little about these events and this championship that we're at today and the excitement that, you feel.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of energy out there. It's a beautiful venue. And as you mentioned, becoming a more and more beautiful day, at least for the spectators.
Yes.
And not so bad for the rowers. It's really exciting. These are all really strong rowing programs.
Absolutely.
And this is a big day for them, and they're coming to, for many of them, a familiar place.
We have another race starting here, it looks like. As this race is going on, this is that men's 2v8 by the looks of it. But also right now we do have our shoreline reporter, Carly Kerger, who has some updates for us, an interview right along the shore. So Carly, as this race is kicking off, I'll throw it to you right now.
Thanks, guys. I'm currently here with some members of Ithaca's women's rowing team who just won the first race of the day, the women's varsity 8. How are you guys feeling after that first win?
We're feeling really good. We just got our qualifier to NCAA's, so we're feeling really excited.
Amazing.
We're feeling so good, so exciting. We've been preparing for this all season, and this was a really big race for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have 6 consecutive wins at Liberty Leagues under your belt. Do you guys feel like the pressure was on today for that race to, kind of get that maybe 7th consecutive win?
Absolutely. I know there's a lot of really tough competition, especially this year. So we definitely really want to make sure we're continuing to build that legacy of excellence at Ithaca. Really set a good example for future teams, stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
I think
Ithaca's
having
here.
that streak was kind of a good confidence builder for us. And
That's Ithaca again. Yes,
What are you
Ithaca
guys
A
going
and
to do now that you won that race? How are you feeling?
third looking
celebrate
like
and keep
Skidmore.
working hard, try to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, go Bombers and congratulations.
Yeah,
Back to you guys.
Carly, thanks so much for that, talking to the members of the Ithaca women's rowing team there. Right now, back to this race for the men's 2v8. We got Ithaca with a strong performance, not once but twice. The Ithaca A boat sitting in lane 3, and then, of course, the Ithaca B boat in lane 5. Both boats performing very strong so far, as you can see. Great angle here from the boat, watching these Ithaca teams doing well. I'm also watching, again, we're now seeing in third a little bit of a fight there in the middle between Union and Skidmore. Looks like Skidmore might have the upper hand right now, but again, it's close to say, hard to say from this angle as we're watching it here, but it looks like Skidmore is pushing forward ahead a little bit there, followed by in lane 1, lane 0, you have RIT and St. Lawrence. RIT just a little bit ahead of St. Lawrence there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Skidmore, their cadence might be just one up from Union, but
And I just want to jump in. That's Cam Strong right there, my good friend, and one of the people putting on this broadcast that was working with us today, and Sam Smith there. Great people that we got to work with. Special shout out to Cam Strong there. Great guy. But again, as we're continuing to watch this race here, continuing Ithaca, both Ithaca boats performing strong, watching that fight there for third place.
yeah, I think Ithaca 1 and 2 are giving each other a race today, and then it is tight for, as you said, third and fourth, catch for catch right now. Little slight lead, I think, with Skidmore, but Union is not letting them take this away by any means. They are fighting stroke for stroke here. I think maybe they just even pulled up. Slight course correction by the coxswain right now, but
I can hear cheering again, which means we are getting close to the finish here for these races. But also keep my eye on the St. Lawrence and RIT boat back there. Both of them
fighting.
remaining competitive against each other there. But yeah, overall, great shot here. You can see, I believe, Union there as we're watching these boats all kind of row through as they are starting to approach the end of this race soon, but they're continuing to power forward, power strong. You got your timer there, about 4 minutes right now for this men's 2v8. Ithaca A and Ithaca B remaining in a strong lead in the first and second position here in this race.
Yeah, sure. So they're going into they're in their second half. They're making sure that their engines are nice and strong, and they're still quick catches, strong drive, in and out at the finish.
Absolutely here.
And they're doing a nice job. Really, the timing is great on all the boats. These first 2 in the league, nice and clean, in and out together. Pretty high cadence, but not rushing.
Absolutely. As we continue following this race here, we'll be getting to the end soon. Looking ahead, though, the next race on the docket will be the Women's Varsity 4 with RIT, Union, Ithaca, Skidmore, and St. John Fisher. That'll be the next race that we're watching here. As things are continuing, though, again, watching right now, even more of a stark look at how these boats are kind of ending off this race as they're approaching that finish line with a strong performance from both the Ithaca A and B boats. Great shot here you get from the side of the boats, moving right along down the water. Just behind them, though, of course, Skidmore in that second lane. And then right on the other side, in between those Ithaca boats, you have Union in fourth as of right now, by the looks of it.
Yeah, so it looks like Skidmore really took a a big move in that last, let's say, second half of the second part of the race here, and made some open water on Union.
Exactly. As we're watching the clock here, sitting at 5:45 and counting, as that finish line is getting closer and closer. The coxswain keeping their eyes on the prize here as they are moving along, encouraging the rowers to finish strong, as both finish strong in their rowing, but of course in this race as well.
Absolutely. And here I think with the top Ithaca boats, they are racing each other. We've got definite overlap here, maybe even a seat, definitely more than bow to stern.
There you can see those two Ithaca boats coming in, approaching that finish marker at the end of this race here. Exciting day for Ithaca so far.
Yeah,
Strong
very
performance
good. Strong performance by them.
As we're looking at the end of this race here, again, more races to follow. Here's our finish line camera to watch the boats come in.
Sure. We've got our last 10, final bar to the sprint, looking strong.
Here, lots of cheering for the Bombers outside, so we can see these boats coming in to the finish line. A lot of cheering out there right now. Wrapping up this race, Ithaca A, followed just behind by Ithaca B. Next up, I believe, will be Skidmore. 7 minutes on the clock now. Both Ithaca boats crossing that line just before 7 minutes. Skidmore now ahead of Union. Looking like their time will be over 7, somewhere under 7:20. They're finishing at about 7:14, 7:13. Union now at about 7:17, 7:18 there. We'll have the official times for you shortly as these races are continuing. But overall, you can see the team celebrating here.
Go. Big hugs on the shore.
Great to see here. That camaraderie that you're able to build up through rowing is something that we've seen from all the different teams here. Again, we keep talking about the energy and the atmosphere, but really I think one of the most important things is the way these teams are coming together. Again, you got to keep in mind, I'm sure you know this, but our viewers do as well, is you're rowing as one whole boat. It's a team sport, and you can see that right here from the result of the last race with the men's varsity 8, Ithaca coming in 6:35 in first place, followed by Skidmore at 6:56, just under 7 minutes. RIT just about 7 minutes right there. St. Lawrence not far behind at all. A very, very close finish for those two teams. Union rounding it out at 7:03. Again, so you can see some competitiveness in these races here. Strong performance by the Ithaca Bombers once again here. But again, like I was saying, it's the strong camaraderie that you're able to see. Both, it has to be strong when you're in the boat. It needs to be, you're one unit when you're out there. But also, seeing that on the shoreline as well. These teams, we saw Ithaca celebrating there. We've been seeing that all day, with these teams kind of coming together, working with their coaches and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that spirit, that camaraderie, that real whole team feeling is very much a piece of rowing culture, and really, yields great results on and off the race course.
Absolutely. We've got our boats coming back in right now here as we're preparing for that women's varsity 4. We saw our drone shot of that just a minute ago. We'll be going back to that shortly as that race starts. Of course, be following all the races. We're at about the halfway point here. We got a few more races on the docket for today. About to start with this women's varsity 4 here. They are all set, ready to go in the Liberty League Championships.
Making a couple final adjustments, get their course, and then they'll be ready to go.
In lane 1, you have RIT, followed by Union, lane 2, Ithaca in lane 3, Skidmore in lane 4, St. John Fisher in lane 5, and just like that, they're off. Watching St. John Fisher there, veering a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Starboard side there.
Yeah, Coxswain's just correcting real quick right here.
Making that adjustment. Hard to see who's in the lead right now. Looks like it's close between Ithaca and Union. Ithaca with a little bit of a lead, though, by the looks of it. Again, hard to tell as of right now, so early on in this race. No one jumping ahead by a extremely large margin, but Ithaca does seem to be slightly ahead at this point.
Yeah.
So, Kristen, talk a little bit about the difference here, for those who may not know, the difference between rowing in a 4 versus an 8.
Oh, well, speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. You know, they're both great experiences. I had the chance to row in both and enjoy them in different ways. But yeah, the 8, there's a lot of speed that you can generate. The 4 can get going fast for sure, but you know, it's 4 people plus the coxswain in most cases, so a little bit different feel.
Right, and here you can see from our drone shot, you do have Ithaca pulling ahead here in that 3rd lane, right in the middle of your screen, looking like Union, lane 2, just there, port side of Ithaca, as they're continuing on here. I want to give a shout out as well to our drone team to be able to get these shots for us, and our whole broadcast team working to provide this coverage for you as well. So we're hitting minute 30 in this race here in the women's varsity 4. Kristen, talk a little bit about your experience as well. You talked about the difference between, you know, the 4 and the 8. Is there a difference in coaching and strategy when you're talking to the rowers if you're rowing in a 4 versus an 8?
You know, a little bit. I think, you know, the race plan might be a little bit different. The boat might, you know, be a little bit heavier in the water with the number of rowers. I think for me, when I was coaching, it was really about, you know, technique. If you've got good technique, then you're being super efficient, and the power that you're generating is being maximized. And that gives you just, you know, I think a great feeling when you're in the water.
Right.
And you get that sensation of really just being, you know, sending and going.
A lot of excitement there outside as the Ithaca boat is walking in now. From that previous race that we saw. But again, we're continuing on here with the women's varsity 4. We got some celebration here outside. Very exciting.
Yeah, and so back to the race, you know, it looks like Ithaca's got a nice lead in first at this point in the race course, with then
Union just behind them.
And then maybe Skidmore and
RIT, it looks like.
RIT,
Looks like RIT might have a little bit of the edge right now. Skidmore definitely not out of it, though. Still fighting for that place there. Because everything is... Sorry, please, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then we've got in lane 5, St. John.
And now I want to throw it really fast. We have the men's varsity 8. Carly Kurger has them down on the shore. So I'm going to throw over to Carly. Carly, take it away.
All right, you guys, I'm currently here with some members from the men's varsity 8 boat. How does it feel coming out on top after a season worth of training here?
It feels amazing. You know, we worked extraordinarily hard, and this is just the accumulation of our work. Hard work's undefeated, and that's what we proved today. Feels extraordinary.
It means a lot. This is the second time in program history. The first time it's been one back-to-back since Hobart. It means a lot for a lot of other members of our group. We've got a lot of people battling injury. I myself had a broken wrist for about 6 weeks since my first race back, and we have a really huge contributor of our first varsity, Liam Baker, freshman who's out right now with a back injury. So to be able to overcome this adversity and perform this well on the big stage is amazing. This means we punch our ticket to the IRA National Championship, and we couldn't be more thrilled.
How exciting. Now, I've talked to you guys at a couple other races earlier this season, so I know you guys are proud to be Bombers. How does it feel to represent your team at this level here during your senior year?
It feels amazing. You know, we bleed Bombers. We're blue all the way through. Yeah, boys!
So, this is a junior year. You got him for another year. But the second varsity won by a landslide, and the third varsity beat every other 2B out there. So the Bombers are sweeping in a huge way today. Couldn't be more proud.
That's right. We're hungry dogs. We got it today. We ate today.
All right, you heard it here first, you guys. Thank you guys so much, and congratulations on your win today.
Carly, again, you saw some high energy down there. Of course, captain there, Riley. Great to see them taking some time to chat about, you know, their last race. Again, pivoting back here to this women's varsity 4, 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes. Ithaca still with strong performance in first place. Union not far behind. There is some open water, though. Looks like Ithaca does have a strong lead here in that first place position. Following, we're watching RIT. We're coming in strong in third as of right now. Skidmore still fighting to stay in. Rounding out St. John Fisher sitting in lane 5, the bottom right of your screen right now. Kristen, what's your outlook here for teams maybe sitting in second, third, trying to say, all right, how can we try and push forward and, you know, take this momentum and up it to try and make as much move as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great shot here of the Ithaca women. Just really, catch and drive. Nice swing. Okay, yeah, but back to your question on third and fourth place. Right now, that coxswain is looking over to their side, and they are seeing, contact. They're seeing overlap, and they are letting their rowers know, both in terms of the boat that's ahead, staying ahead, but the one that is right there, motivating their rowers to just really dig deep and drive that boat. Quick, clean catches, and see what they can do in this, the last stretch here.
Absolutely.
You might pick up the cadence too. I mean, that would be what I would recommend is, look at their pace, up it, and see if you can keep moving, being efficient.
Yeah, what's the most important thing that a coxswain can say at this point to their rowers? Maybe that's a harder question than it might seem.
Yeah, well, the coxswain will know what motivates their crew.
Yeah.
And really will just send those messages, pull on what is ever left in the tank and a little bit of their heartstrings, and keep their mental focus, keep them really just vested all the way to the finish line, especially with an opportunity, back and forth.
There you go. Rounding out here, sitting at minute 7 as this race is continuing on. Ithaca remaining strong. You can see us here. We're sitting here in the boathouse. We're having a great time today watching these races all play out. Continuing to watch here, as you can see on your screen. You can see us, of course, but also that Ithaca boat, the Ithaca Women's 4, coming in for first place right now as they're coming to an end of this race that we have. Next on the docket will be the men's varsity 4. We're going to see Skidmore, RIT, and the University of Rochester all facing off. Will be an exciting race up next as this one starts to come to a close here as we're nearing that last mark towards the end of this race here.
You're waiting for the cheers to start.
Exactly,
You're
yeah.
right in front of the boathouse here.
That's the key. From where we are positioned right now, once we start to hear people getting excited, we either know, one of the boats just walked in that finished, or they are coming up, down the river here, and they'll be coming to that finish line shortly. Now setting at 8 minutes for this race as we're continuing on the Women's 4. Kristen, talk to me, too, about a little bit more about your experience rowing. I know you said, you got into it through your community. You continued, you rowed through high school and college. Talk about the collegiate experience as a rower.
Yeah, so for me, it was really magical. I had a chance to row in college all 4 years. I was down in Philadelphia, so, rowed with my university. And then there's so many other clubs on Boathouse Row. And back when I rowed, you had a chance to sort of jump in every once in a while. One of the clubs might have an open seat, and so the coach would, kind of give you a chance. And that was amazing to get to row with a little bit more elite rowers, and in different races, beyond what we were just doing as part of our college.
There you go. Now I'm starting to hear those cheers pick up. I can see some boats as we're coming to an end of this race here. The Women's Varsity 4.
And real shout out here to Ithaca's performance, but also second place, really making a push here.
Yeah, incredible comeback that we're seeing.
Yeah, huge lengthen, really upped the drive, up the cadence, and closed the gap on Ithaca. But strong performance. Ithaca's not giving up, and they're there you go. You can see just a big push. Open water took it back.
Yeah, absolutely incredible performance there as Ithaca crosses that finish line. Not far behind at all is Union. It's about 9:20s there for those times. Next boat to come in will be a fight for that third place position with RIT looking like they're just a bit ahead of Skidmore currently. St. John Fisher will round this race out. Now approaching the finish line, RIT. Overall, an exciting day here. Strong performance from all the teams, of course, especially from Ithaca in these last couple races that we've been watching here. We'll be having results coming in shortly for the previous race here. Now as St. John Fisher will be the last team crossing this finish line here, sitting at now 10 minutes currently. Kristen, obviously it's been an exciting day. All these races have been going and going and going. Strong performances all around. One thing that we're going to be taking a look at is these times actually right now. We're going to get those up on the screen. So I'll ask my question to you in just a second. Sure. But here you can see Ithaca coming in. This was the 2v8 that we saw previously. with Ithaca coming in first, 6:54. Not far behind Ithaca again, 6:59. Strong finish for both those teams. Then Skidmore coming in third with that 7:15. Union 7:21. RIT 7:34. And then St. Lawrence rounding out with 7:39. So as you're taking a look at this, Kristen, one thing I want to talk about again is, you've seen a strong performance from all these races that we've been having today. One thing I'm watching is the water. I don't have the exact number for wind speed currently, but just watching the angle and the direction of the wind that we're seeing here based on the way the water is moving, how do you think this is impacting, these rowers that are out there on the water?
Yeah, I think this time around it's probably not as bad as it has picked up since this morning. You can kind of see that, and so they are feeling that. They're going to have to lean in a little bit more. No white caps or anything like that, so that's really, really great. Some of the other races were brutal.
It looks like we have our next race starting off here, that men's varsity 4. This race we'll see Skidmore, RIT, University of Rochester, all facing off right now. By the looks of it, we have RIT sitting in that middle lane, lane 2, Skidmore at lane 4, University of Rochester. See our drone shot here as we're following the races, watching the boats come down the river here. We'll get a closer shot soon. Hopefully we can see as the races are going. It's an exciting day. It's an exciting time as these races continue.
Yeah, and these folks are just putting in their really strong performance. They're each in in a position where they're rowing their own race. They're looking to the boat just ahead of them for second and third, and continuing to close that margin.
Absolutely.
See if they can up their times, up their performance today.
100%. It all comes down to this, for a lot of these teams, Liberty League championships, of course, what they've been, working towards throughout this season. I want to talk a little bit quickly as we're watching this race play out is a little bit more about the background here with some of these rankings for these teams. If we're looking at, the IRCAs, Ithaca College coming in at number 10, Skidmore number 12, RIT at 13, St. Lawrence 14, Union College at 15. Got this great shot here of the rowers going along in this 4. Very exciting day here. Looked like you had University of Rochester right there that we just saw as RIT bringing up the rear of this race. Skidmore in second between these 3 boats. But yeah, going back to those rankings that we saw, those are the men's rankings. Then for the women's, we saw Ithaca in 6th, William Smith in 7th, Skidmore in 13th, highlighting those teams that are competing there. There's the Rochester boat moving along for this men's varsity 4.
Yeah, and you can see here your question about the water. The water's definitely gotten a little bit choppier. The wind's out there. The grimaces on their face, they're staying strong, but they're feeling the elements a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, as this race, we're seeing a strong performance here by Rochester, really leading this race. By the looks of it here.
Yeah, this strong open water here between 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3.
Absolutely.
They've got nice send here. You can see, as you were mentioning before, you watch the pedals just go.
Coming up next, we will have a 2-boat race that we'll be taking a look at shortly, as this 3-boat race here will be approaching the finish line. Of course, there's our finishing shot there with Rochester coming in for the win, sitting in first place there. We should be seeing Skidmore coming in second. RIT rounding out the race here for the men's varsity 4 this morning. As mentioned, there's Skidmore coming in. We'll have all these times for you shortly as these races continue. We'll also take a look back at that women's varsity 4 that we saw earlier to get those times in. And now we have RIT rounding it out for this race. The next race we'll be watching will be that 2-boat race. University of Rochester facing off against Union. And that'll be the men's novice 4. That'll be next on the docket, which will be starting shortly as this men's varsity 4 rounds out this race. So, Kristen, I think, we've seen a lot of good races today. What is, following Liberty Leagues, what is kind of the next step for these teams? What are they looking at next?
Well, it's my understanding that some of these teams are looking to go down to the IRAs, which is huge, national championship.
Yeah.
A lot of great competition. Some of them were there last year, put in good races, and so I think they're looking to go back and make a statement.
There you go. And of course, you have other teams here trying to, maybe make it there for, if they weren't there last year, trying to, fight to get that this time. Now here we have some results coming in, as I was talking about earlier for that women's varsity 4. Ithaca coming in first place, sitting at 9:21. Just 4 seconds behind him is that Union boat where we saw that comeback from Union there. Really impressive performance by both schools, by all the schools, of course, but that comeback that we saw with Union and Ithaca. Coming in third, RIT, sitting at 9:50. Skidmore fourth, 9:54. Again, another just 4-second difference between those two boats as well. Definitely interesting to take a look at. St. John Fisher rounding out at 10:18 for that race. We're going to be taking a look at the two-boat race that's coming up next. But one thing I do want to point out, too, is St. John Fisher there. That was another coach that we got to talk to as well, Coach Jonathan Coveney, who said, was proud of the work put in this season, looking forward to getting back in the varsity 8 race next year, talking about the shout out to the senior captains as well, shouting out Emma Kane and Sarah Costello finishing their nursing preceptorship in the Dominican Republic. So that's an awesome shout out from the coach there, which is pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the best of those seniors next year. Big adventures ahead.
Exactly. Speaking of, the seniors and just kind of the level of different rowers in these teams. One thing that I talked to, former Coach Robinson about previously was about the Ithaca team is just it's a very young team that we're seeing. There's a lot of younger rowers, so something to keep in mind, again, watching for as this season is starting to ramp up here with the Liberty Leagues, looking ahead for what these teams can do next, what the strategy is and, how to kind of build that next year of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point. They've got some depth here. They just had 3 8s, which means they've got a lot of strong rowers on that men's team. And, they've got the seniors and the upperclassmen are bringing up the underclassmen, but you just got that great depth. And if they're performing so well as underclassmen, can only imagine what they'll do.
Absolutely. Now here watching that men's novice 4, University of Rochester and Union. Union looking like they are ahead currently. But again, we're going to make sure we can confirm that as we get different shots here. Of course, our drones following it all. As one concern, too, is, with the rain, of course, maybe not ideal for the rowers, as you were mentioning. Definitely not ideal for the drones as well, for getting them up in the air. So we're glad that the rain has been able to hold off. We're able to fly out there and get these great shots here on the water. As the race is continuing here for the men's novice 4. The next race on the docket will be rounding us off will be the women's novice 4, where we will see RIT have an A and a B boat. Ithaca will be there, University of Rochester, and St. John Fisher. That'll be the women's novice 4. That'll be the next one on the docket following this race here.
They're putting in a nice performance here. Really long and strong.
Absolutely. Watching jumping those puddles there, you can see.
Coxswain's got a nice straight course, making all the difference. Coxswains really do play an integral role in rowing, whether it's the sprints or, in the fall with the headpieces. It's really an unsung hero in many regards.
Absolutely. You can see Rochester there. So one question I have for you as a former rowing coach is the difference between coaching a coxswain versus coaching, the rowers. Obviously, it's different. You just outlined, coxswain is obviously super important. So kind of how are you able to get those kind of messages across and being able to help both those elements as best you can as a coach?
That's a great question. So, just especially at the collegiate level, you tend to find, if you maybe a coxswain has had experience previously, or you find that special person in college who says, I'm going to give that a try. They've got a great personality for the task at hand. And, working with them individually, both on the technical understanding of, steering the boat, making the slate adjustments, understanding course and whatnot, and then having them really understand the mechanics of rowing so that they can be that sort of motivator coach on the water. Critical.
Absolutely. Again, I'm hearing the cheering from outside, which means we're coming to a close here, it sounds like, as we're continuing this race here. Of course, we'll have all times and everything updated for you as things are going along today for this previous races that we just saw. overall, strong performance we're watching here from Union there, looks like.
Yeah, they're putting in a really nice performance today. Really clean catches, working together, great swing.
And, we're sitting here, it's Liberty League Championship, so I didn't expect it, but, not seeing no one's catching any crabs today, which is a good thing. It was something that, I've seen happen once before, so glad we're not seeing any of that. Of course, when I saw it, you have that opportunity for people to kind of launch out of the boats, worst case scenario. Luckily, that didn't happen the last time that I saw that happen. But
yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen today.
Definitely not happening today, no.
Yeah, well, I rode on the Schuylkill, and so my freshman year we did end up with one of my rowing partners there in catching a crab and ending in the Schuylkill, and not something that wanted to be repeated.
Absolutely not. I was going to say, you talked about some memories, if you could pick one story, from your experience rowing, maybe that's the story that just stands out to you this day.
Here we
what would that
be?
Yeah,
great finish.
Watching approach the finish line here at the end of the race. There you go. You have that finish for the race here. But yeah, if there was one moment, one thing you recall from your days of rowing.
Okay, so I'm going to say my Heather Charles race, sophomore year at Villanova. It was really exciting. Villanova hadn't.
Nope. Not to cut you off there, but we do have some
okay.
results here coming in for that men's varsity 4 that we saw. Rochester coming in first at 8 minutes 2 seconds. Skidmore second at 8:16. RIT third at 8:29. Strong performance there for all three teams. But yeah, as you were saying, at Villanova.
Yes, I was in school in Villanova, but I grew up in Massachusetts, and my parents actually hosted the team that year when we all came up, 2 8s, 2 4s, crammed into our home. But my mom was part of a huge family, 8 siblings, and so they spread out on each of the bridges along the Charles and cheered us on.
Oh, that's exciting.
Which I think really helped all of our performances that day.
That's awesome to hear. Very nice. Here we get a great shot of our water here. The next race on the docket will be that women's novice 4, RIT, Ithaca, University of Rochester, St. John Fisher will all be facing off when that time comes. We'll have RIT with 2 boats. We'll be sitting in lane 1 and 2. Then Ithaca sitting in lane 3, lane 4, University of Rochester. Lane 5 will be St. John Fisher. Right now we got a little bit of a break before that next race will get started. That'll kind of round out our event today. But again, we're watching here. Still an overcast day. The temperature is getting a little bit warmer. It was chilly when we started. It's starting to warm up. The sun doing its best to try and poke through these clouds today.
Sure, and you could see, look at the screen here, you can see also the wind's picked up a little bit, moving the water. That's definitely something that will affect the rowers and challenge them, got to lean back in.
What is the biggest piece of advice for rowers fighting the wind? Does it just come down to, you just got to keep rowing? There's nothing, not a lot that can be done, or is there a way to kind of, fight that wind in a way?
Well, it depends. So if it's, if you're rowing into the wind,
right.
That you definitely feel it, right? And so, different things you can do is making sure that you stay long, even though the wind is fighting you to be short. You want to delay the roll up of your blade so it doesn't become a sail. Really be intentional about your catches, quick catches in. So quick roll up, quick catch, and then stay long because you are fighting against that wind. So you don't want to shorten the power and your length, and then conversely, when you've got the wind in your favor, you might want to roll up early and take advantage of the sail.
There you go. Now, I also do want to pull up another quote here that we had. We've talked about some of these things that the coaches have talked to us about, talking about Skidmore, because Skidmore, hosting this event today with their head coach Manny Valentin had said, talking about how the team is prepared for Liberty Leagues. Actually, before I get into that, let me just take a look at this. This is the men's novice 4 results. Union coming in first, 8:41, just in front of Rochester there. Rochester at 9:03, coming in second there for that race that we just watched.
Yeah, nice job by those novice boats.
Absolutely. But yeah, pivoting to this quote here, which I like, is Coach Valentin from Skidmore talked about, they spent less time talking about Liberty Leagues, more time about being the best version of ourselves at the end of the year, saying we wanted to be rowing the best at the end of the year. We want it to be the fittest we've been at the end of the year, and we want to use the race experience throughout the season to illuminate where our weaknesses are and correct them before the end of the year. I think that's really powerful to kind of hear that. So, you know, what are the kind of messages that you would send out as a coach to rowers, you know, both going into a championship like this, but also following a championship like this, whether you have a team that's going on to that next round or not? What is kind of the different, you know, things that could be said?
Yeah, well, I just really want to, you know, shout out to that coach's recommendations, both for how they framed the season and the hard work that their team put in, and really giving them some solid perspective and I think, you know, kind of pride around their work and what they're doing. So, you know, similarly, I think, you know, that's that kind of really positive, constructive messaging that you want to share as a coach. You want kids to, or all the athletes, to just be proud of the work that they're in, motivated to make those personal investments to themselves and then to the larger team.
Right. And one thing that was also said here as well was, you know, what are you looking forward to most on Friday? The answer, it was a one-word answer, and that was racing.
Awesome.
And that's just great. You know, Coach continued on to talk about how, you know, you only get to race so many times. I think 6 times a year is what Coach Valentin said. So, you know, any opportunity to get on the water is obviously super exciting for not only the coaches, but of course the rowers who get this opportunity to go out there that we've seen. And obviously we've seen that through the excitement, through the camaraderie of the teams here, which is just, you know, keeping the energy high, seeing these teams kind of bond over all that with these few times they get to go out on the water. So, all right, we're going to throw it over to Carly one more time. She's got an interview right along the shore. So, Carly, I'll let you take it away.
All right, you guys, I'm currently here with Sunny from RIT, who just participated in the men's varsity 4 race. How are you doing after that incredible race?
I'm tired, obviously, but we're feeling good. It's a nice sunny day out in Saratoga. You can't ask for much more.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks beautiful here. How does it feel to finally be here at Liberty Leagues after training all season long?
It feels like all the training we did over winter and the spring is finally ramped up to this moment. We gave it our all, and the results are the results, you know. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, sometimes it goes your way. So you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to know a little bit, what's your post-race ritual? Do you have a meal you eat? Do you have a way you celebrate?
Right now, I'm just eyeing those gummies that we have on the table right there. Definitely drink a lot more water and then talk with the boat about how it went and, you know, just improve it next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sunny, and congratulations, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, you too.
All right, back to you guys.
Carly, thanks so much for that interview. Led me to a thought here, Chris, and I want to talk to you about is, you know, those kind of rituals for pregame, postgame, you know, everything that happens, you know, right before your race, right after your race. When you were both a rower and a coach, what did that look like for you? Is there anything that you would do with your team, you know, to kind of get ready or to celebrate, you know, a good race?
Oh yeah, so for sure. I mean, the kind of preparations beyond the daily preparations for practice, but you know, as we got close to race day, we would have you know, a team dinner usually the night before the race. That was always great. Talked about that bonding before. I mean, my dearest, closest, and still longtime friends are my rowers, and then you know, again, always in early morning. even if you weren't rowing first thing in the morning, it was still an early morning. And so then get down to the boathouse, you know, do your stretching, do your running, get warmed up, get on the water. You know, rowing down in Philadelphia, we were lucky our boathouse was there, and so we always had that kind of time to kind of get settled. We didn't always have a lot of the distraction that you might have if you were showing up with a trailer on a field. And then plenty of time to warm up before you get to the start.
Right, and kind of on that line of thought too, you know, obviously these rowers have all been working really hard to get to where they are right now, to get to the Liberty Leagues and everything. What did your practice regimen look like as a coach for your rowers? What was that kind of outline?
Yeah, so in general, the practices, I definitely leaned on the coaching experience I had in college. I had some really exceptional coaches at Villanova, and so I borrowed from their regime. You know, during the quick run, stretching, get the boat on the water, do your drills, you know, kind of, and different kinds of pieces. So depending upon what we were doing, fall versus spring, you know, we worked on different stuff to really support technique, big proponent of working on your technique, and then making sure that you can apply it and you have the endurance.
Right. And then obviously one of the most important things coaching is making that connection with the rowers, of course. And that's something that, I've seen a lot with, for example, Coach Stengel and the men's team at Ithaca. So how as you as a coach were able to kind of bridge that gap between the students, work with them a lot, but also what was kind of the most important thing when working with the students?
Oh, that's a great question. I think being just, fair, honest, consistent, holistic coach, approachable, making time for, both for them, giving them perspective too. It wasn't just like do what I tell you, but really kind of understanding why are we doing this? What place, what does this workout or this approach do for the kind of the long game that we're working towards this season, so that they had some understanding for the buy-in of their efforts and build their sort of mental understanding around the sport as well.
Right. There you go. Just a quick reminder for all of our viewers out there, the next race on the docket will be the Women's Novice 4, where you have RIT, Ithaca, University of Rochester, and St. John Fisher will all be lining up here shortly to go through with that race. You can see some of those boats coming in. You got that bar on the bottom of your screen there. We do have 2 RIT boats. We have both an A and a B. Sitting in lane 1 will be RIT's B boat, lane 2 RIT's B boat. And then as you can see, lane 3 Ithaca, lane 4 Rochester, lane 5 will be St. John Fisher. So rounding out the day here, we have this final race with all this energy. All these rowers are able to come here for this Liberty League Championship. It's very exciting. I feel like we've said exciting a lot today, but that is really just kind of what it is. It's a culmination of this season. All these rowers working so hard, in tandem with their coaches and with all the members of the team to, come out here, do their best, put on a really strong performance, and we get some sunlight now too. So
oh yeah,
we'll take it.
This is a beautiful shot by the drone, and you were mentioning this is we've got almost every lane filled here, but this is another big kind of full race, which is great. It's a novice program, and so I think about for many of these athletes, it might be their first time at a kind of a big deal competition, backing into the stake boats, just really a lot of energy around it. And rowing can be such an amazing part of one's college career, and so I think that there's a lot of that positivity and enthusiasm within those rowers today, right now at the start.
Absolutely, and you saying that makes me think of 2 different questions I have for you. The first I'll say is, this is the novice, like you said, this could be one of those first opportunities, for students to get out on this kind of level. What would your advice be for those who, may have some nerves, at this moment?
Don't worry about it, right? Honestly, I mean, that you have to acknowledge that they're there. Use those nerves as the energy to drive your work on the water. But they've put in the time. They've definitely had the rigor every day, and so this is kind of approach it as business as usual with a little bit of excitement.
And then following that, the second question I thought of is, again, a lot of people watching this broadcast, they know rowing. People know, have been following this. But there's also, some people who may not. And for those, what would you say, or maybe people that want to get into rowing, as someone that, you talked about your path of getting into it, I guess, how can one get involved, and why is it such an awesome, kind of opportunity?
Yeah, so I mean, rowing has changed quite a bit in terms of on-ramps since I started. There are so many more programs out there at the youth, middle school, high school level, as well as within the collegiate level. So definitely, if you've got an interest, see if there is a community program or even a camp not too far afield. See if you can jump in during the summer, get a taste for it. A lot of times places will do, kind of an open house.
Yeah.
So you can come for the day, you can come for a couple of nights, see if it jives with your interests, and it probably will. And then, take it from there.
Yeah.
And if you can't, row competitively, you can absolutely row recreationally. It's such an amazing sport. It's like, it can be a lifelong sport. It's, really a full body workout. So.
There you go. Great words there on rowing. Right now, I do want to throw down to Carly Kruger on the shore once more before we get this race kicked off. Carly, I'll let you take it away.
All right, you guys, I'm here with some of the winners of the men's novice 4, or I should say all of them, the entire winning boat from Union College. How does it feel to be Liberty League champ?
Very nice. I'm so happy. Awesome.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about the conditions out there on the water. How did that affect your racing today?
Stadium looks really good from the area.
Carly, and now as we're seeing here, all the boats are lined up. They look like they're ready to go just about any minute now. Super exciting. But thank you again to Carly for all the interviews we've been able to get today, talking to all the different rowers, and especially there talking to members from that Union novice boat that we saw race earlier. But here we go as this race is getting set to kick off. Last boat just getting into position now, and it looks like they are off. Here we have this four that we're watching. RIT's A and B boat, Ithaca, University of Rochester, and St. John Fisher. Now, one thing I'm watching here is all the way on the left side, you have that lane 1. That RIT B boat went really far out, towards its port side, now coming back. I'm curious to see what's going on there.
Yeah, I think the race started and they didn't quite have their point, so it was, a little bit of a tricky beginning for them, but they have corrected their course and they're, putting some more fuel in the engine there for sure, closing the gap.
Remaining
nice
competitive there, yeah. Props to those rowers. Right now, though, it looks like RIT's A team is a little bit ahead there. You can see those yellow hats, of course, with the Ithaca Bombers there as well as we're watching this all go through. It looks like, from this perspective, it looks like right now RIT in first, followed by University of Rochester. Very close behind, though, is Ithaca in lane 3 there, as you can see. Ithaca veering a little bit to their port side, but they're trying to get realigned there, as you can see. Overall, strong performance so far from RIT. There's the Bombers moving right along. About 1:10 on the clock as this race is really just kicked off.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say,
Yeah.
you've got the place settings, but the boats are pretty close. There's just a little bit of open water, and in a couple of cases, about astern. So it's anybody's game. Absolutely.
And one thing I was going to say for you and your experience working with the varsity boats, but also the novice boats, is there a little bit of a different kind of way of coaching for them, or a different
But I'm sure, and I there's lots of wonderful coaches out there, so I can just speak to maybe my approach, which was, the novice team, maybe they had an opportunity to row prior to coming to college. Many of them did not, and so it was a chance to just let them get involved in a really positive activity at the university, hopefully fall in love with the sport. And so you wanted to cultivate that enthusiasm and positivity along with skill development.
There you go. Great shot from our drone here. You can see RIT with a commanding lead there. The RIT A boat behind them, coming in second, looking like University of Rochester, Ithaca just behind them. Strong performance from those three teams that you're watching. Of course, RIT's B boat and St. John Fisher also doing well, continuing, to try and build on some momentum as they're, following these boats along down the river here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would say that they're pretty even there, and big shout out to Rochester for correcting its course and getting back in the game so strongly.
Absolutely. That's one thing we saw, covering, the Cayuga duels, or, down at the Cayuga Inlet there, watching boats, it sometimes would veer off a little bit. Sometimes, that was a little bit more of a course that had a little bit more of a bend to it. This is a much more straight shot down to the finish line. So kind of watching, the way that these coxswains have to work to, work depending on the course is something that's interesting here. You have, that straighter shot.
Yeah, and definitely here, because they're straight lanes and because in the spring you are doing sprints where everybody's got their own lane, they've got a different focus and agenda versus, in the fall where they're really looking at opportunities to make moves on boats and do that strategically within the course of the river.
Absolutely. And another thing that I want to talk about as well is kind of, a lot of these teams do their spring training, spring break trips. When you were coaching, what did that kind of look like for you? Because I know for these teams, a lot of that was their first opportunity to get on the water.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially a lot of these northern teams. They, we brought our team down to South Carolina, which was really great. We rode on a river, so when we hit South Carolina and we were on a lake, that was a really different experience for us, and just being mindful of being on a different kind of body of water, and in particular, I think the winds on that lake made a big difference in our afternoons, and so it was good skill building, but also, kind of just thinking thoughtfully and from a safety standpoint, especially with our novice. Absolutely.
Continue to watch this novice race here. That RITA boat with, as we said, a commanding lead here. I'm watching, though, a little bit of, you got a fight for second there that's been continuing. Ithaca, not out for that second place finish yet, still working to try and maybe build on how they've been rowing to try and get ahead of that.
Yeah, I definitely think you've got bow on stern there, and they are making their moves. You can see here a little bit of the wind is affecting the cleanliness of the catches.
Absolutely. Yeah, watching those catches there. But again, it's been an exciting day here. This is the final race to kind of round out our broadcast for the races, at least, as we're watching all this play out. Of course, this is the Women's Novice 4. We've seen a lot of excitement today, saw some close finishes, saw some strong leads like we're seeing right now here by RIT in this race. But it's been a great day to be rowing in Saratoga Springs.
For sure. Yeah, and to your point there, I think between second and third there is a bit of a power play happening right here.
Yes, that's definitely something to keep our eye on as we're making our way down the water here. You can see the Ithaca team now. Great shot of them rowing along. So, Kristen, of all the times, talking about memories rowing, what's another moment that stands out coaching? Was it, a win that your team was able to pull off? Was it, just a beautiful day on the water? What's one thing that stands out to you?
Yeah, so this one I'm going to say it was a medal. It was my second year coaching, and we'd had a number of. I coached at a university where most kids did not have the opportunity to row prior to coming, and so there was a lot of development that first year. Took a women's varsity 8 to Worcester, and they got a bronze in the 8, which was a really exciting moment for them and myself as well.
That's awesome. Continuing along with this race here, you see Ithaca women's team there for this Novice 4.
I think in particular for that story, oh yeah, you can see there, right there, getting close. You got contact, you got overlap.
Yeah, keep your eye on the top of the screen.
Huge
right
power
there.
play there. That was great. Big power 10, probably power 20.
Yeah, really narrowing that gap there.
They could be
hard to say, but looks almost neck and neck
neck
from
and neck
this
at
perspective.
this point, which
yeah.
is just fantastic rowing by those boats, and in particular Ithaca to close the gap there in this stretch.
Absolutely, but again, nothing can help but talk about RIT's lead right now. Just plenty of open water for them. They're not, I think it's unrealistic to say the least of a comeback, to try and overtake them in first place right now. Really that battle for second that we're seeing. Ithaca may be coming ahead just a little bit. Hard to say. Here's some cheering outside, so maybe we'll be able to get close shots soon. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Just
they are
fighting for that position.
They are fighting.
Again, it can be deceptive sometimes from the side angle, depending on how you look at it here. based on what my eyes are telling me, it is neck and neck. It'll be very, very close to see who will ultimately finish in second place this race. RIT rounding out the race, though, that RIT A boat finishing strong here as they're approaching that finish line. You can hear the cheering pick up. I'm looking outside even right now. I can see the boats approaching that finish line here. Excitement is picking up. Cheering is picking up. Looks like Ithaca might be getting a little bit ahead as I'm watching back there for that second place fight. Not by much, but it looks like they are starting to gain momentum, building on it. Here's RIT's A-boat as they're approaching that yellow flag, and they'll be crossing the finish line just about any minute now. So you can see them. I hear the cheers picking up.
Yeah,
Timing.
they look really strong.
About 8:45 right now as they're approaching the end of their race today, marking the end of the Liberty League Championships with the Women's Novice 4. Just under 9 minutes with RIT's A-boat taking the win. Now that close fight for second place between Ithaca and the University of Rochester. Ithaca gaining a significant lead, nothing that's insanely monumental, but definitely a strong enough lead to pull away with second place here.
Oh yeah, excellent, and they really made some huge advances from where we saw them last. There was bow to stern, and now they are bow to stern the other way, so that's fantastic.
And there you have it, the storyline that we've been watching for this whole race. Ithaca coming back to pull off a second place finish over the University of Rochester, coming in at third place. It'll be very close times there. It'll be interesting to see what those final times were. We're at around 9:40 for these two boats as they are rounding it out right now. Next, RIT's B boat will be passing the finish line as these two boats are cooling off past that final marking.
Well-deserved cool-off there. They put in a great race, both those boats.
Absolutely. Great races by all the teams here today overall. There's that RIT B boat coming in fourth place. Last will be St. John Fisher to round out this race. You can see the boats taking a breather. Some clapping out there you can see as well. Overall, though, an incredible performance from all the teams that we saw here today, from the teams that raced here, but even beyond so, including teams like Union and Skidmore. Overall, strong performances, good times for all these teams that were here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone should be really proud of their performance today. It was a fun day to watch the races.
Absolutely. As we'll have St. John Fisher coming in to round this out. We will have some final results coming in just a moment, and that'll round out the races for the day here. We will be having the awards coming up shortly, our ceremony for crowning the winners of Liberty Leagues here at St. John Fisher now rounding out the day for races as they're coming in. Again, we'll get these times up for you as soon as we can with all the updates. And then we're going to take a short break following this. Once we get these times in, then we'll go to our ceremony for the winners of the Liberty League Championships here today in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Great.
Kristen, it's great to be here with you today, watching all these races, covering it all. Thank you for all of your insight as former rower, former rowing coach. Obviously, I've never coached rowing. I haven't, don't have any experience there, but great to work with you and be able to provide that, that lens into a little bit behind of, what might be happening with these teams and these discussions happening.
It was my pleasure. Thanks, Ryan.
There you go. We are here in sitting amongst the boats here, as you can see on your screen. It's been lots of excitement here, of course, with Kristen. We're going to be getting those final results in for that last race that we just saw shortly, as I said. Overall, some of these exciting races that we saw, a lot of neck-and-neck races, a lot of strong finishes, a lot of open water we saw at times today. Yeah. Overall, again, one word that I can talk about is just excitement for everything that we saw here today. Shot of the water here as these boats are now all starting to head back to shore as the races are concluded for the day. We can see even outside from where we're sitting some people huddling together outside as everything's kind of wrapping up on the water for these championships. Kristen, a final note I want to get your thoughts on after you finish a championship race, regardless of the position that you finished in. What do you do with the team?
Oh, celebrate, really. Yeah. Regardless of whether you medal or you don't medal, you just put in a great race. Mm-hmm. Proud of your accomplishments. certainly do a little, just savor that time, savor that time, savor the day, savor the energy, celebrate just a wonderful day around a wonderful activity.
Absolutely. And just to go over some rankings really quick as we'll be getting these results in, heading towards that ceremony for the winners of Liberty Leagues here. For IRCA, for men's, we had Ithaca College ranked at number 10, Skidmore ranked at number 12, RIT just behind them at 13, St. Lawrence at 14, Union College at 15. Pivoting to the CRCA for the women's, Ithaca College was ranked 6, William Smith at 7, Skidmore at 13. Some of those Liberty Leagues teams you can see ranked within the top 15 of these schools for D3 for the D3 rankings.
Nicely done.
As I said, the final times will be rolling in shortly, then we'll have our awards ceremony after a short break on our end. But make sure to stay tuned to see all of that. Thank you all as well for tuning in to watch these Liberty League Championship that we've been following today, for supporting all the rowers on all the teams throughout their time rowing at all levels. Kristen, what is the biggest thing that you could say to people? We talked to people who want to get into rowing, but getting into rowing maybe at the collegiate level. We saw some novice people. How would you encourage people? Just go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go for it.
Yeah.
I think that the rowing programs are really welcoming programs. Most of them have kind of just the, opportunities for walk-ons, opportunities for many learning the sport and kind of growing within the team, even if you're not maybe competing that first year.
Right.
So definitely do it. Check it out. Reach out to the coaches. Reach out to the university or college that you're going to be at. Find out what the pathway is, and then put in the time. Right.
There you go.
Good.
Awesome. Well, yeah, great point there. And again, for everyone, just as a reminder, we are not done just yet. We'll be having our award ceremony soon, which we'll be covering. But again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Kristen again for all of your help today covering these races. It's been a lot of fun on our end as well to cover all of this. I've covered a few of these regattas that we've had. 2 of them being in Ithaca. This one here in Saratoga has been very exciting experience. So awesome to be a part of this. And shout out to our broadcast team as well, who have been working, nonstop, tirelessly for the last couple days. Just to give some background, even back in Ithaca, we had our we have results right now, so I'll tell the story in a minute. Let's take a look at this for that women's novice 4, coming in first place. RIT at 9:02 with that strong finish. Ithaca following in second at 9:38. Just about 5 seconds behind them was that Rochester boat. Absolutely impressive comeback for Ithaca to finish 5 seconds ahead after being behind, neck and neck, fighting for that second place finish. RIT's second boat at 10:10 there. And then St. John Fisher, I believe that was, rounding us out for that race. Exciting results there for this last race of the day.
Absolutely.
But yeah, as I was saying, just a special shout out I want to give is to everyone working on our broadcast team, from setting up, all of our control room that we have here, from flying drones, getting cameras out on the boats, getting interviews with our shoreline reporter, Carly Kerger. Want to give a special thank you to everyone, especially, one of the rowers today, Cam Strong, helped kind of organize this for a lot of us. So I want to thank all of them for being a part of this team. But at this point, we're going to throw to a break for now. But please don't go anywhere. We will continue with the awards very shortly, so stay tuned. Thank you all very much, and don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Liberty League Rowing Championships here in Saratoga Springs, New York. As our races have now concluded, we'll be going into the awards ceremony, handing out the awards for the winners of this Liberty League Championship today. I want to give a thanks to Skidmore, who's hosting today at the Saratoga Rowing Association. We're going to go right into our awards ceremony now. Let's take a look.
So we'll start with the 4 races and work our way through. Finishing in second place, Rochester. And the winner of the men's novice score with time of 8 minutes and 41 seconds, Union College. Okay, now for the women's novice 4. In 5th place, St. John Fisher. In 4th place, RATB. In 3rd place, Rochester. In 2nd place, Ithaca. And the winner of the women's novice 4 with a time of 9 minutes and 2 seconds. For the men's, second varsity 8. In 6th place, St. Lawrence. In 5th place, RIT. In 4th place, Union. In 3rd place, Skidmore. In 2nd place, Ithaca B. And the winner of the men's second varsity 8 with a time of 6 minutes, 54 seconds, Ithaca A.
Where's the smile, Tyler? In 1st place, Rochester. In 6th place, St. Lawrence. In 5th place, RIT. In 4th place, William Smith B. Place, Skidmore. In 2nd place, Ithaca. Time of 7 minutes and 53 seconds, William Smith A.
Have Ryan put the antenna right where he's standing. Can you guys move
The next awards are the Varsity 8 awards, which also determine our Liberty League team champions. First, men's Varsity 8. In 5th place, Union. 1st place, Lawrence. In 3rd place, RIT. In 2nd place, Skidmore. And the winner of the men's Varsity 8, Liberty League team champions, and IRA automatic qualifier with a time of 6 minutes and 35 seconds, Ithaca College. now for the women's varsity 8. In 7th place, Union. In 6th place, St. Lawrence. In 5th place, RAT. In 4th place, Rochester. In 3rd place, Skidmore. In 2nd place, William Smith. The winner of the women's varsity 8, Liberty League team champions and NCAA automatic qualifier with a time of 7 minutes and 28 seconds.
This is the 1v.
Good luck to all our teams and crews on the rest of your season. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes. All right, we got Mel for an interview. All right.
With some members of Ithaca's women's rowing team, you guys are Liberty League champions. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I know, right?
Bombs!
Yeah,
Celebrate now.
Big nap.
Big nap.
Yeah.
Having a good meal after this. Yes, good meal and nap. Sounds great. You guys want to give any shout outs to anyone maybe watching at home?
Yeah, to my family. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
Shout out my mom and dad. I love you guys. Hi, mom and dad. Love you.
All right, amazing. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome back here. This is going to conclude our broadcast today of the Liberty League Championships. I want to give a special thank you to a handful of people, starting off with our producers, Jack Denick and Cam Strong. Following that, I want to give a shout out to our crew as well: Elijah Gemin, Gabe Harris, Catherine Coomerer, Emma Labataglia, Zach Vogel, Nash Carlisto, Ted Dougherty for all of our graphics, as well as Carly Kerger, our Shoreline reporter. In addition to that, I want to thank Devin Accardio, the director of Park Productions. Of course, Kristen Carnahan, my co-commentator today as well. In addition to that, Ithaca rowing coach, head coach Justin Stengel. In addition to that, Skidmore's coach Emmanuel Valentin, and who's the head rowing coach there. Thank you to both of you. I want to give a special thank you to the Liberty League Commissioner as well, Tracy King, Associate Commissioner Katie Moline, and the Saratoga Rowing Association Director of Regattas and Community Liaison, Caitlin Elenick. I want to thank all of you very much for making this broadcast possible. Thank you, the viewers, for all tuning in today to watch our broadcast. It's been a pleasure and an honor to bring this coverage to you at home. Thank you all for watching. This has been the 2025 Liberty League Rowing Championships.